3 mascots, 1 World Cup. That has never happened before. Not once. In 60 years of this tournament, FIFA always gave you 1 mascot, 1 face, 1 symbol to represent the whole thing. Until now. And here's the thing, this World Cup isn't happening somewhere far away on a TV screen. It's happening right here, right now, across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The biggest soccer tournament in history. 48 teams, 3 host nations. And 3 mascots that most people walk right past without actually knowing their real story. Clutch, Zayu, Maple. A bald eagle, a jaguar, a moose. Sounds simple at first, right? 3 countries, 3 animals, easy enough. But nothing about these choices was easy. Nothing was random. The animals, the names, even the positions they play on the field, every detail of this was intentional. FIFA doesn't do things by accident. And the deeper you look into these 3 characters, the more you realize they carry something much bigger than merchandise and stadium banners. They carry a message. This is what that message actually is.
But before we get into all of that, real quick, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Leo, this is Footy Leo, and this is the channel where we go behind the sport. Not the scores, not the highlights, the real stuff, the context, the history, the things that make you stop mid-conversation and say, wait, I never knew that. All right, let's go back. 1966, England. It's the first World Cup to ever have an official mascot. And FIFA doesn't commission a logo or a badge. They commission a lion, a cartoon lion wearing a Union Jack jersey. His name is Willie, World Cup Willie. At the time, some people thought it was a little silly. A lion in a jersey for a soccer tournament? But Willie worked. England sold merchandise. Kids fell in love with the character. And for the first time in history, the World Cup had a face that wasn't just a golden trophy. It had a personality. FIFA noticed immediately. From that moment on, every single World Cup, no exceptions, would have an official mascot. A character built to carry the identity of the host nation, to make millions of people feel something before the first ball was even kicked.
Some of those characters became genuine icons. Juanito, the cheerful Mexican boy from 1970. Naranjito, the little orange from Spain in 1982. Yes, an actual orange with a face. Striker, the cool dog from USA 94, right here on American soil. Some of them were forgotten the week after the tournament ended, but every single one of them told a story. And that story always reflected something real about the country that built it. Think about what FIFA was actually doing with these characters. On the surface, marketing, merchandise, something for kids to put on their backpacks. But underneath that, every mascot was a negotiation between a country and the world. A way of saying, this is who we are. This is what we want you to feel about us. This is the version of ourselves we're choosing to show 4 billion people. Mexico did it 3 times before 2026. Juanito in 1970, a young boy in a sombrero, warm and proud. Pique, the jalapeno pepper in 1986, funny, self-aware. The country was comfortable enough with its own identity to laugh a little. Then came the more complex ones. Italian 90 gave us Chow, a figure made entirely of stacked soccer balls holding an Italian flag. Visually strange, but it said something. Italy was modern, design-obsessed, futuristic. It was a fashion statement dressed as a mascot.
USA 94 gave us Striker, a dog in American team colors. Energetic and optimistic. The United States was still figuring out what it even meant to host a World Cup. Soccer wasn't the sport here, so they gave the world a friendly dog. It worked! That World Cup broke attendance records. And then, most people don't know this, in 2002, Japan and South Korea became the first countries to co-host a World Cup. And FIFA did something unexpected. They created 3 mascots for that tournament. 3 animated characters called Otto, Kaz, and Nick. It was the first time in history. And then, it never happened again. Until 2026. For 24 years, that idea sat on a shelf. 3 mascots, done once in 2002, then gone. FIFA went back to 1 mascot per tournament without looking back. South Africa got Zakumi the leopard. Brazil got Faleko the armadillo, an endangered species that curls into a ball, a direct nod to the sport. Russia got Zabivaka, a cool wolf with sports goggles, who became genuinely beloved. Qatar got Laib, a ghost-like figure floating in white, inspired by the traditional Arab headdress. One mascot, one tournament, one identity. That was the unwritten rule for 60 years. Then FIFA changed everything. Because 2026 isn't like any World Cup that came before it. This is the first tournament in history hosted by 3 separate nations simultaneously: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 3 governments, 3 football cultures, 3 very different relationships with this sport, all sharing the same stage. 16 cities, 3 time zones, 48 teams, the biggest World Cup ever played. FIFA wasn't going to force 3 nations into one character and call it unity. That would have been a lie. So they went back to the idea tried only once before and completely rebuilt it. In 2002, the 3 mascots shared one fictional universe. They were teammates in an imaginary sport that didn't really exist. In 2026, each mascot belongs to a real country, with a real story, a real name, and a real position on the field. Clutch, Zayu, Maple. And each one of them was chosen for reasons that go much deeper than design.
Let's start with the one closest to home. Clutch, the bald eagle, representing the United States. First, the animal. The bald eagle has been America's national symbol since 1782. It's on the presidential seal. It's on the dollar bill. It's arguably the most recognizable national symbol in the Western world. So when FIFA needed an animal to represent the United States in the most watched sporting event on the planet, there was really only one answer. But the name is where it gets interesting. Clutch. In American sports culture, basketball, football, baseball, clutch means one specific thing: the ability to perform when the pressure is at its absolute highest. The game is on the line, the clock is running out, the whole stadium is watching, and you deliver. That's what clutch means. FIFA gave the American mascot a name that is purely, specifically American. You say clutch to a soccer fan in Argentina, and it means something different. You say it to an American sports fan, and they feel it in their chest immediately. That was not an accident. And then there's his position on the field. Clutch is a midfielder, number 10 on his back.
In soccer, the number 10 is everything. The creative engine, the one who reads the game before everyone else, the one who makes the pass nobody else even imagined. Pele wore 10, Maradona wore 10, Messi wore 10. FIFA gave the American mascot that jersey. In a country still learning to fully embrace soccer, that choice wasn't subtle. It was a declaration. Now, let's talk about Zayu, Mexico's Jaguar. And if clutch is the American soul, confident, leadership-driven, built for pressure, then Zayu is something completely different. Something older. The jaguar is not just an animal in Mexican culture. It goes back thousands of years. In ancient Mayan and Aztec civilizations, the jaguar represented power, agility, and a bridge between the human world and something beyond it. Warriors wore jaguar pelts into battle. Rulers kept them in royal palaces. This animal wasn't decoration. It was sacred. When FIFA chose the jaguar for Mexico, they weren't just picking a cool-looking cat for a jersey. They were reaching deep into pre-Columbian history. The name Zayu itself is rooted in indigenous cultural values: unity, strength, and joy.
And on the field, Zayu is the striker. Instinctive, sharp, always dangerous. That is Mexico's football identity distilled into one character. Then there's Maple, Canada's moose. And yes, a moose. That takes a second to sit with, but it makes complete sense. The moose is the largest land animal in North America. Massive, resilient, unmistakably Canadian. FIFA's backstory for Maple is that he traveled across every single Canadian province and territory, embracing different cultures along the way. A moose who crossed the entire country just to understand it? That's not random. That's a message about what Canada actually is. Maple is the goalkeeper, number 1 on his back. Off the pitch, street art, music, creativity, individuality. 3 mascots, 3 positions. A midfielder who leads, a striker who attacks, a goalkeeper who holds everything together. 1 team, 3 nations. And look, if you've made it this far into the video with me, I want to take 1 second to say something real. If you're not subscribed to Footy Leo yet, now is the moment. We put out content like this every single day. The stories, the secrets, the context behind the sport that nobody else is taking the time to tell.
Hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it genuinely means everything for this channel.
Because this World Cup, it's the best time in history to be paying attention to this sport together. Now, back to where we were. 3 mascots, 1 team. But here's the layer most people miss entirely. Think about what this tournament means for soccer in the United States specifically. The last time America hosted a World Cup was 1994. Striker the dog, packed stadiums, and a sport that most of the country still considered foreign, European, South American, not ours. 32 years later, everything has shifted. MLS has exploded. Kids who grew up watching Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey now have children of their own who watch Messi play in Miami on a Tuesday night. Soccer has embedded itself into American culture in a way nobody fully predicted in 1994. And now, the World Cup is back, bigger than it has ever been in history. And this time, the United States isn't just the venue. It's the story. Clutch wearing the number 10 isn't just a design choice. It's FIFA saying, we see what this sport has become here. We see where it's going.
And we're betting everything on it. Here's what I keep coming back to. In 1966, England created a lion in a jersey to sell merchandise and give a tournament a recognizable face. That was the whole idea. Simple, practical, commercial. 60 years later, FIFA created 3 characters with names rooted in ancient civilizations, indigenous languages, and American sports slang. Characters with full backstories, with personalities, with positions on a field, built to carry the identity of entire nations on their backs. That's not just marketing getting smarter, that's the sport getting bigger. And right now, as you're watching this, the 2026 World Cup is happening. 48 teams, 3 countries, the largest tournament in the history of this sport. Somewhere in a stadium, on a screen, on a kid's jersey. Clutch is there. Zayu is there. Maple is there.
3 characters that were carrying a message about what this tournament was supposed to feel like before a single ball was kicked. In the end, it was never really about the animals. A bald eagle, a jaguar, and a moose don't naturally belong in the same story. Different habitats, different continents, different worlds. And yet, here they are, together, on the same field. Maybe that was always the point. 60 years ago, they gave the World Cup a face. This year, they gave it 3. If this video meant something to you, send it to 5 people who should know this story. Subscribe to Footy Leo if you haven't already, because we do this every single day. And drop a comment right now. Tell me what you thought and tell me what you want to see in the next video. I read every single one. See you there.